People in their 20s and 30s who drink moderate to heavy amounts of alcohol may be more likely to have a stroke as young adults than people who drink low amounts or no alcohol, according to a study. The risk of stroke increased the more years people reported moderate or heavy drinking. The Texas law prohibiting abortion after detachable embryonic cardiac activity was associated with a decrease in in-state abortions and an increase in residents obtaining out-of-state abortions. The proportion of out-of-state abortions obtained at 12 weeks increased significantly from 17.1% to 31%. Belief that the COVID 19 pandemic was a hoax, that its severity was exaggerated, or that the virus was deliberately released for sinister reasons, functions as a gateway to believing in conspiracy theories generally. Instead, pandemic skeptics were more likely to believe in 2020 election fraud. Vitamin D deficiency linked to premature death. Over a 14-year follow-up period, researchers found that the risk for death significantly decreased with increased vitamin D concentrations, with the strongest effects seen among those with severe deficiencies. Air pollution reduced when US embassies around the world installed monitors and tweeted the readings. The resulting reduction in air pollution levels had large health benefits for residents in these cities, speaking to the potential efficacy of other monitoring and information interventions. A study of nearly 2,000 children found that those who reported playing video games for 3 hours per day or more performed better on cognitive skills tests involving impulse control and working memory compared to children who had never played video games. Until now, Mars has been generally considered a geologically dead planet. An international team of researchers led by 𝐡𝐢𝐠𝐤𝐬𝐤 now reports that seismic signals indicate volcanism still plays an active role in shaping the Martian surface. Before a heart disease diagnosis is made, your healthcare provider will gather a full medical history and perform a physical exam. If your doctor suspects heart disease, blood tests will be ordered to check your cholesterol and triglyceride levels as well as look for proteins that could signal heart failure or plaque in your arteries. Movies are an integral part of us. They mirror what we believe and how we coexist as people. It is easier to see our concerns, attitudes, flaws, and strengths in films than it is to decipher them from our daily interactions. When our prevalent beliefs and our ideologies are challenged in films, we are sometimes able to interrogate ourselves and embrace change. One of the great contributing factors to mental illness is the idea that we should at all costs and at all times be well. We suffer far more than we should because of how long it can take many of us until we allow ourselves to fall properly and usefully ill. Surgeons in New York City successfully attached a pig kidney to a human patient and watched the pinkish organ function normally for 54 hours. Such procedures have been done in non human primates. However, this is the first time that a pig kidney has been transplanted to a human body and not been immediately rejected. As climate change brings more wildfires to the western United States, a rare fungal infection, valley fever, has also been on the rise. It causes coughs, fevers, and chest pain and can be deadly. The culprit fungi thrive in soils in California and the desert southwest. Wildfires appear to stir up and send the soil loving fungi into the air where they can enter people's lungs. For 2 summers in Pioneer Mountains, the roar of rushing white water filled the air, but where the loud sounds prevailed, only gentle streams flowed by. These phantom rivers were part of an experiment led by ecologist Dylan. He and colleagues were testing a hypothesis that the sounds of nature influence where animals lived and how they forage. Most societies throughout history employed some strategies to help people in poverty meet basic needs. Before the 20th century, religious groups and private charities often led such initiatives. Today, these are called welfare programs, and they usually take the form of government provided subsidies for housing and healthcare. Physicists thought they had a solid grasp on what made up matter. They knew that atoms contained electrons surrounding a positively charged nucleus. They also knew that each nucleus contained a number of protons and positively charged particles. Combinations of those two particles made up all of the matter in the universe. Female hummingbirds don flashy feathers to avoid being bothered by other hummingbirds. They tend to have bright blue heads and throats, but mate choice doesn't seem to drive these females' pretty plumage since males don't appear to prefer the blue females. Therefore, bright colors may help ladybirds blend in with the guys and as a result feed for longer without harassment from other hummingbirds. The solid waste management issue is the biggest challenge to the authorities of both small and large cities in developing countries. This is mainly due to the increasing generation of such solid waste and the burden posed on the municipal budget. In addition to the high costs, the solid waste management is associated with the lack of understanding over different factors that affect the entire handling system. A tropical cyclone is a genetic term used by meteorologists to describe a rotating, organized system of clouds and thunderstorms. The weakest tropical cyclones are called tropical depressions. If a depression intensifies such that its maximum sustained winds reach 39 miles per hour, the tropical cyclone becomes a tropical storm. Roofing your house rarely rates high on the list of fun and exciting home remodeling projects. But when your home develops a leak, your attitude might take a sharp turn. Suddenly, the prospect of dry, tightly sealed house begins to look very attractive. A beautiful new roof can also improve the curb appeal of your house. Most of the food you eat is broken down into sugar and released into your bloodstream. When your blood sugar goes up, it signals your pancreas to release insulin. When there isn't enough insulin or cells stop responding to insulin, too much blood sugar stays in your bloodstream. Over time, that can cause serious health problems such as diabetes. Behavioral outcomes are devalued as a function of the delay until they are experienced. This process, known as delay discounting, is reliably associated with cigarette smoking and other tobacco use. Delay discounting is that potential therapeutic target in tobacco cessation. Thus, understanding how delay discounting influences intertemporal choice is critical and may lead to efficacious interventions for tobacco use. Team members with what researchers call negative affect exhibit critical and persistent thinking that allows them to identify problems needing solutions. On the other hand, team members with positive affect engage in broad and flexible thinking that expands their range of information and helps them see unusual and creative connections. Are animals' innate navigational abilities universal or are they restricted to their home environments? Taking the premise to the extreme, the researchers designed a set of wheels under a goldfish tank with a camera system to record and translate the fish's movements into forward and back and side to side directions to the wheels. Categorization is the brain's tool to organize nearly everything we encounter in our daily lives. Grouping information into categories simplifies our complex world and helps us to react quickly and effectively to new experiences. Researchers identified neurons encoding learned categories and thereby demonstrated how abstract information is represented at the neuronal level. The tropics are becoming hotter due to a combination of warming associated with deforestation and climate change, and that can reduce the ability of outdoor workers to perform their jobs safely. Researchers are estimating how many safe working hours people living in the tropics have lost due to local temperature change associated with loss of trees. Computer and smartphone based treatments appear to be effective in reducing symptoms of depression, and while it remains unclear whether they are as effective as face to face psychotherapy, they offer a promising alternative to address the growing mental health needs spawned by the COVID 19 pandemic. As technology keeps growing, political and economic leaders have utilized cinema in changing and shaping people's outlooks either for their own benefit or for the benefit of the people. Quality translations are also readily available and extremely affordable for everyone these days, which makes it easy for filmmakers to reach their target audiences from all corners of the world in their mother tongue. Heart disease is the leading cause of death for both men and women in the United States. While often thought of as one illness, heart disease is actually an umbrella term that covers a range of heart conditions. It includes diseases of the blood vessels, including coronary artery disease and peripheral artery disease, and so on. No matter where we go on the planet, there are stunning plants, flowers, and animals that catch our attention. They are two very important aspects of any ecosystem. Of all the living organisms on the planet, the most commonly seen by us are the plant life and the animal life. Scientists suggest that there are a number of reasons that our bodies treat scent differently than other senses. From hunting and gathering food to finding healthy mates, linking smells with memories that stir up desire, happiness, or even fear is biologically useful for humans. Humans have one other thing to consider when scent is at play: context is key. When you take a deep whiff of your morning coffee, the smell of those fresh roasted beans darts into parts of the brain responsible for emotional and memory processing, but our other senses don't work in the same way. That's why smell can trigger a happy memory more quickly than touching the hot coffee mug or tasting that first sip. The most significant difference between traditional Chinese architecture and traditional Western architecture is the construction material. Most ancient Western buildings were built up with stones, solemn and magnificent. Most importantly, they survive today. Ancient Chinese people were very good at using wood and created the complex mortars and tenon joint structure to bring in the unique aesthetics for ancient Chinese wooden architecture. Our genes serve as an operating manual for cells of the body. Genes tell cells what to do and when. But copying errors in those operating manuals, known as mutations, can lead to misspelled instructions that can change how cells operate. Scientists now know that some of those mutations can lead to the disease. About 66 million years ago, a massive asteroid slammed into the Gulf of Mexico. Not long afterward, all non-bird dinosaurs died, as did many other species on land and in the sea. Scientists don't know the exact year this took place, but they now think they have figured out in what season it occurred: spring. Particles can act like clumps of matter or ripple through space like waves, and they can even exist in two places at once. A new device harnesses this strange quantum behavior to measure Earth's gravity. Slight changes in gravity from place to place reveal changes in the density of material beneath the sensor. This allows the instrument to detect underground objects. A joint venture is a business arrangement in which two or more parties agree to pool their resources for the purpose of accomplishing a specific task. This task can be a new project or any other business activity. In a joint venture, each of these participants is responsible for profits, losses, and costs associated with it. Sometimes natural processes can help preserve materials. For example, sediments from floods or volcanic eruptions can encase materials and preserve them. In one case, the shell of an alpine glacier preserved the body of a man for more than 5,000 years. The process of researching and securing a dig site can take years. Digging is the field work of archaeology. On occasion, archaeologists might need to move earth with bulldozers and backhoes. Usually, however, archaeologists use tools such as brushes, hand shovels, and even toothbrushes to scrape away the earth around artifacts. The COVID 19 pandemic created an enormous level of stress on a global scale, leading to elevated levels of anxiety, depression, and other mental illnesses. Along with this was a disruption and challenges in the delivery of mental health services that were traditionally provided in the office. The requirements to be a NASA astronaut have changed over the years to better align with the agency's mission and values. A potential candidate must be a US citizen. They also have to have a master's degree from an accredited institution, acceptable degrees including engineering, biological science, or mathematics.